and welcome back to another episode of Aviation Champions. I'm your host, Miranda Gahn, founder of Lex Aero Aviation Law Firm. This morning we have our guest, Chase Olson, who is a certified flight instructor and a commercial licensed pilot. Good morning, Chase. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hi, morning, Miranda. Thanks for having me on.
Great. So, flight instructor, that's really impressive. Tell us how you got into your career in aviation.
Yeah, there's a long-winded answer and a quick one. So really, when I was young, always wanted to fly. Loved going to watch airplanes. My dad was in the military, and we were up in Minneapolis. So Fort Snelling, where he worked, was right next to some of the approach paths to the runway. So we'd go watch airplanes take off and land. I just fell in love with it from a young age. And this is actually a second career for me. So I started after high school, went to college for construction management, did that for about 6 years or somewhat. And always knew in the back of my mind I wanted to do this. So I made a lot of career choices in the construction world with the back of my mind being that, all right, whatever job I pick should be conducive to go hop over to this career, should I choose to one day. And that's exactly what happened. It's funny. Every job site I was at in that world, I can remember being next to an airport. And the last job I was on before I made the jump was at the Miami International Airport, right next to where American Airlines puts their 777. So that,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Looking at those out the window, I just had a gut feeling it was time to go for it.
Wow, that's awesome. So, when did you start flying?
I started flying. I took my first official flight lesson. I went kind of right in the deep end. It was September of 2023.
Okay, wow.
Started started a local flight school at North Perry, the same airport I teach at now. Got my private done quickly, instrument, and then eventually came over to Sun City Aviation here to finish up all my ratings. So ever since September 2023.
So now, day in and day out, you're a flight instructor teaching other students like you who have the same interest in aviation. What's that like?
It's a lot. This is the most uniquely challenging job I've had because there's a lot that goes into it. Every student's very different. If you were to describe, just to put in one phrase what I do, a more accurate word would be I'm a frontline primary flight instructor. All right, so if you wanted to either get to the airlines, do everything you can as quick as possible, or if you just want to get your private pilot certificate to fly for fun, you would come to someone like myself at Sun City and start your training with a private pilot certificate. So it mostly is one-on-one. We would do a couple of grounds for a day one student, introduce them to the basics of aviation, and then start in flight. So a typical day for myself could either look like I get in at 7 o'clock and meet with a student that's working on their private certificate, then move on to maybe a multi-engine student who's already got a commercial certificate, adding on a commercial rating, then jump into an instrument student. So my days could vary from 7 to 5. Sometimes it could be 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Because there's some night training requirements. So my day is all over the place, and it's typically just one-on-one with students all the way from private up through generally multi-engine add-on ratings.
Well, that sounds exciting. I have a tremendous amount of respect for flight instructors. And for me, when I went through military training, instructor pilots is what we called them, IPs. I think it takes a certain set of psychological skills to help people learn how to fly. It's really impressive. What would you say would be like the biggest bit of advice you would give someone who's looking to pursue a career like yours? If they come to you and you find them sitting before you, what would be like your biggest advice?
Yeah, I'll put it into two different parts. One is you have to take all the information you can get for a certain amount of time, and then just make the decision that makes sense for you. If you're in high school and you want to jump right into it, it's a lot different of a path you might take than somebody who's mid-career.
Sure.
That has money and maybe a family, right? So just get your options. Pick the path that makes most sense for you. If you go on YouTube, you'll see some very strong opinions going either way. But pick what makes the most sense for you, and keep in mind that there's a lot of value in the speed that you go through it, right? Not just for getting to your job sooner, but in aviation, especially starting out, flying is a skill. That skill degrades if you go a long period of time in between training. So just keep that in mind. You do want to have the mindset of aggressively attacking it as you start, whatever your life allows.
Sure.
And lastly, I would just say that if you're trying to make a career out of it, whether it's a career flight instructor, you want to get onto the airlines, charter, whatever it is in aviation, your interview starts day one. Right? It doesn't mean you have to come in as a new pilot, never flown before, and fly perfectly. Not even close. It's just your attitude, showing up on time. Um, as with somewhat competitive flight instructor market, those are the folks that are getting onto uh, the world as being a flight instructor, getting that job after they finish their ratings. It's the ones that have gone to the school that they'll most likely be hired onto, and they're most likely going to pick a student that has had a great attitude, been shown up on time. Yeah.
So I would say truly that's great life advice as well. Show up on time and have a great attitude. So it sounds like it translates well into pursuing a career in aviation. What would you say is a trend you see with students, or could you say that you've seen a trend? Like if you had any cautionary advice or things that you've seen from the cockpit, what would that be?
Yeah, it's there's a million ways I could answer that.
Sure.
I'll probably stray away from just like the market, because that's going to fluctuate a lot. One thing, whatever's happening in the aviation world, when you start your training, it's things change so rapidly. So whatever's happening now is not really an indication of what's going to happen by the time you go apply for a job. Um, I would go back to just the speed and intensity. There are, if a student, if you come in and kind of do it piece by piece and then leave, come back, uh, where the budgets get exceeded for students when they're going through flight school, it's not due to a lack of proficiency. It's typically just uh, having long gaps in training. So what I'd say is if you're somebody that wants to pay on your own, you do want to pay close attention to the budget and make
Okay.
sure that when you start your training, you can get through at least to a milestone, right? As opposed to doing a little bit, waiting, and then a little bit more. And keep in mind, a lot of it has to do with yourself as a student and how you come to an attack flight training, right? Another little saying I'll give is your job as a student is to get rid of the instructor. Make me trust you so I can sign you off and go on your own. So that goes into going the extra mile on the ground, making sure you know exactly what's going on, and uh, going the extra mile, putting a lot of effort in outside of just flight school. Uh, and that when you're flying the airplane, you're showing the instructor that you're making progress towards not needing an instructor on board.
Okay, I think that's some really great advice. I think the two things I'd like to highlight based on what you said is one, work toward getting the instructor to trust that they don't need you anymore. And I think the other thing you said that's really valuable bit of advice, if you are paying for it out of your own pocket, you want to budget that time so that you can reach a milestone with that budget. I think that's really important, and maybe something that most people don't realize. Um, it is a skill. It's a perishable skill, and you'd be best served to plan your budget that way, so that you want to be getting into the cockpit as frequently as possible, so that that skill doesn't perish and you don't waste the investment from the beginning. So I think that's great advice. So what's next for you in your career, Chase? Where do you plan to be? Obviously, you like instructing. You seem really positive about it. Is that where you plan to stay, or do you have ambition beyond that?
Yeah, so just a basic overview of what the career ladder looks like in the aviation world. I mentioned I use the term frontline instructor or yeah, like a primary instructor.
Okay.
That's typically you're in doing long hours in as the primary instructor for a student when they come through. That's usually the lower, like the first path you take. So beyond this, I'm about 1,000 hours at this point. Most people see this spot as just the step it takes to get to the airline hour requirements.
Okay.
Once you get a good amount of experience at where I'm at, there's a couple paths. You could go regional airlines, you could go charter, you could stick with the flight instructor world and maybe specialize or become a chief instructor.
Okay.
Most likely, what I'll be looking to do is go for the regional airlines, and then um, as far as instructing goes, whether I keep my foot in the door in general aviation or as an instructor for an airline. That's kind of been on the back of my mind. But the first step would be to to start a jet career, and then make sure I keep my foot in the door as an instructor.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate that explanation because I don't think it's widely known, kind of understanding the progression of flight training and where that can lead and what kind of goals and objectives you might have going into it. So tell us, as we wrap things up, what do you love most about aviation? Is it everything you thought it would be, or are there things that surprised you about it?
Yeah, everything worth doing is a little bit harder than it seems. Definitely hard, but what I love the most about it is no matter what's going on in my life, when I go fly an airplane, focus is on that. I'm in the sky. I'm doing my task. I'm flying the airplane proficiently, whether it's with myself or just a student, and it sort of drops me into a level of flow.
Okay.
So it's a meditation. I'd call it that.
Okay, so it's your happy place.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've made a great career change then for the better post-college, and it looks like you're enjoying it and have a lot of enthusiasm for it. Thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. We really wish you the best of luck as things progress, and thank you for what you do. I imagine being a primary flight instructor is not easy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's difficult. It's rewarding, but yeah, don't let the difficulty scare you away. It's worthwhile if you do truly enjoy flying.
All right, thank you so much, Chase. We hope to
All
keep in
right.
touch.
Yep. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you for having me on.
Take care.